Howdy. If you're wondering why I have this trophy here, it's actually not a trophy. This is a Dundie and it is for Best Homeowner. I actually just won this about a week ago at the 2020 Dundies, so that is going right there. But if you're new to this channel, my name is Bronson Holbeck. Welcome. If you're not new here, well, welcome as well. Today I'm going to go over how I save over 50% of my income and how you can do the same. So when it comes to expenses, there's three things that usually eat up everyone's budget. Housing, transportation, and food. So I'm going to start with housing because it's usually the biggest expense that people have. And according to Business Insider, Americans on average spend nearly 40% of their take-home pay on housing. So I've scoured the webs, looked at a few websites here, a few websites there, and I found that the average salary for an American is $48,000. So that means their take-home pay is probably around $38,000. So if you're the average American spending nearly 40% of your take-home pay on rent, that's $1,266 each month on rent. So if you do a little research, you'll see that the average recommended proportion of your take-home pay to go to rent is around 30%. So if you just cut that back from 40 to 30%, that's gonna make your rent $950, saving you $310 every single month. And according to my calculations, that is $3,720 each month. I mean, a year. $3,720 per year. Okay, so I know this video isn't about compound interest, but I want to show you something just real quick. So if you take that $3,720 per year and you invest it, look at how crazy this is. This just shows the power of compound interest. So let's say you let it grow for 40 years. Let's say you make 8% return. That's nuts. Over $1 million extra that you had if you just would have found a little cheaper place to live and you invested the difference. So, like I said, this isn't a video about compound interest, but I just want to show you how crazy it really can be if you do choose a little cheaper place to live and you invest the difference and let it compound and compound for years to come. If you want to live in a big city, it's gonna cost you. Forbes did some research. They found that on average, people in the city pay over $578 per month more just to be in the city. And if you go to Boston, LA, New York, any of these huge major cities, it gets well over $600 more just to live in the city. So you live in the suburbs 20 minutes out, you save $600 a month. I promise the money that you spend on gas going 20 minutes into the city is a lot cheaper than that $600. Unless you live in New York City, that might be a different story. Then maybe it's worth it just to live there, walk everywhere. I don't know. I don't live there. But if you live in a place like Dallas or any of these mid-major cities that aren't super big like New York, but still decent-sized cities where you're gonna pay close to $600 more per month in rent, might be worth it to consider living 10, 15, 20 minutes out. So when it comes to picking the place to live, it's very important to pick the location in the right place and not overextend yourself. Just because you get qualified to pay that much in rent doesn't mean you should spend that much in rent. Another thing to consider is roommates. More roommates, the better.
And they were roommates.
If you can live with another person, you're gonna pay significantly less than if you live alone. You live with 2 other people, 3 other people, it's gonna get significantly cheaper each time, every time you add more and more roommates. And then another way to save money, it's what I'm actually doing right now, it's called house hacking. And there's a long explanation for it that I'll go into later at some point. But the main gist of it is, you buy a house and rent out the rooms, and the cost from the rooms that you're renting out basically pay your mortgage. So you, the homeowner, are essentially living rent-free. Now obviously I know not everyone watching can do that. Maybe you haven't built your credit yet, maybe you don't have the money for it yet. But if you do have the means for it, it's a really good way to 1, save money, and 2, build wealth through building equity. Hello, this is Bronson. That was actually a call from Empire Today. And that brings us to our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Empire Today, and they are coming to do my floors. I'm just kidding, I wish. That'd be awesome. That would save me a ton of money if they would do that. But they're not, so. Okay. Let's get back to it. So just to summarize housing, you pick the right place, the right location, you have a few roommates, it's really easy to cut down your living expenses and help you save a lot of your money. Obviously, we all know housing is a huge expense, so the more you can save with this expense is gonna help with everything else in your budget. Now the next biggest for most people is transportation. Now if I see one more person graduate school, get an average paying job, and suddenly think they're balling, and they go get a $30,000 brand new car, that is the most foolish thing ever. I don't know why you would buy a new car. The moment you drive it off the lot, you lose 10%. You lose another 10% before the year's end, and then another 10% each and every year after that. And I found that stat online, so you know it's legit. I didn't just make it up. The internet never lies. So with the internet's trusty knowledge, if you do that math, Within 5 years, your car's only worth 40% of what it was when you bought it. So say you have a 5-year note, you finally pay it off after 5 years, your $30,000 car is now worth 12. Woo! And that's if you're lucky. Most people get underwater with cars, the value drops quicker than they can pay it off. So note to self, just don't buy a new car. Unless you just have tons of money saved up, you're killing it, then you know what? You've earned it. You go do it, that's your thing. But if you're trying to budget and you're trying to cut your expenses, do not buy a new car. And if you're thinking about buying a new car, just before you do it, look at it like a stock. So Tesla stock closed at $800 today. Would you buy it today knowing that 5 years from now it's going to be worth $320? No. It makes no sense. Now obviously it's a little different because no matter what car you get, new or used, it's gonna depreciate. It's a depreciating asset. So you can't exactly compare it like that. But that just shows how much it really drops in value, and it's crazy how much it really is. So just buy a used car, let the original owner take the hit of buying new, and you get yourself a nice used car, even if it's just a couple of years old. 1, 2 years old. They're gonna take that hit up front, driving off the lot, and you're gonna get a car significantly cheaper that still works great, still runs well, and it's got years of life left ahead of it. But like I said, either way, you're still buying a depreciating asset, so it's gonna go down in value. It's just a matter of how quickly. So might as well buy it used, let it depreciate a little slower than if you buy brand new. Another way to save a ton of money, if you have the means, is to buy your car in cash. So the average car note is around 5.27%. So over the term of a 5-year note, say you did finance a $30,000 car, you're gonna pay over $4,000 worth of interest. So maybe consider buying a cheaper car, 8, 10, 12 grand, and maybe purchase it in cash if you can. It's gonna work just as well. It's gonna get you from point A to point B. You're not gonna look as rich as if you were driving a nice Mercedes, but maybe in the process you can get rich rather than looking rich. One thing about buying the car in cash though that you should consider is the time value of money. Say you drop $10,000 in cash on a car rather than financing it, you should look at what your money could make if you did invest it and see if it's a better return to invest it now and finance the car or to just go ahead and buy the car cash. Obviously there's a lot that goes into it, like where you're investing it, and also your risk tolerance is a lot that goes into this too. If you're really risk averse, maybe just pay for the car in cash and not try and beat the interest rate by investing. So one thing that a lot of people forget when they're buying cars is you have to pay for gas, oil changes, any type of maintenance, insurance, and all this is affected by the type of car you get. So if you get a luxury car, your insurance is going to be higher, maintenance will be higher, and every little expense that you have is usually going to be a little bit higher. So that's another thing to take into account when you're purchasing a car. But I don't want this to sound like I'm hating on luxury cars and like, you should never drive a nice car. You should drive an 18-year-old beater at all times. That's not what I'm saying. I think luxury cars are awesome, but for the sake of trying to save money and build a budget, it's important to note how much these are really costing you and if you can afford it at this moment. Maybe down the road you can afford it, then by all means, I think that's awesome. I don't want to drive the same old car my whole life either. I want to upgrade to a nice car, but it's about doing it when you're ready and when you can afford it and when it isn't a huge expense to your budget. The third thing that's huge for budgeting and saving money is cooking at home and meal prepping your meals for lunches throughout the week. At the store you get chicken for $8, some veggies for $3, some rice for like 5 cents. You add that all together, you can make your lunch for the whole week for the price that it would cost going out to lunch once. So it'd be like less than $3 each meal. And when it comes to grocery shopping, I prefer to take small little trips more frequently rather than buying a huge set of groceries that it's gonna last me like 3 weeks. This way I save money because I know I'm never wasting anything. I'll buy a small batch of groceries on Sunday, I'll cook stuff for food throughout the whole week, eat all of it down to the last crumb, and then Sunday I'll go do it again. In college sometimes I would buy groceries for like 3 weeks and try and stock up, and I found that I wasted a lot of food and a lot of stuff went bad before I could eat it. So for me, going once a week and getting smaller batches is just easier for me and I'm less wasteful that way. But when it comes to non-perishables, I freaking stock up and I buy in bulk. Let me show you this. I basically got like a whole drugstore in my house. Got multiple of everything. And I just stock up. And dog treats. Ugh. Now that I look at that, it's not as impressive as I thought. I thought it had a lot more. So I'll be stocking that up soon. But when it comes to food and shopping, definitely recommend stocking up on non-perishable stuff. And when it comes to stuff that is perishable, buy once a week, small batches, make sure it never goes bad and you never waste it. And the next thing I'd recommend if you're looking to save money is get rid of all bad debt. Those darn dogs. But hey, Florian over here. Oh, that was terrible. Wow. I just got done with some flooring, people. One way to save money, Don't spend $14,000 on floors. That's just insane. That's like twice as much as the other quote I had recently got. They wanted $14,000 for some freaking vinyl floors, and then $17,000 for laminate. So, yeah, if you want to save money, don't do that. Back to where I left off. Another thing in terms of saving money, make sure you get rid of all your bad debt. So like on a credit card, when you're paying interest on that, that's just going to take up all your money when you're paying 20, 25, 30% interest. So make sure you get rid of all that. And then lastly, this might be the most important thing, and that's to have an actual budget. So I do this in two ways. I budget on Mint. I just have the app on my phone. You can also do it online if you prefer that, but for me it's easier on the phone. And I also have an Excel spreadsheet. So on Mint I write out on there how much I want to spend each month and kind of get an idea, a rough estimate of what I'm trying to save within. So it looks like this, real cool, real simple, real easy to use. And then I have the spreadsheet that I use. So this is it. It's super easy, super simple. And I don't put in what I want to spend. This more is just tracking what I did spend. So on the first of each month, I'll pay off my first credit card. So let's say that's like $500. My second credit card, I don't spend on too much, but maybe a little here and there. So let's say that's 20 bucks. And then on the first, I also get rent for my friends. So let's say that's $2,000. Income from utilities, this isn't technically income, but I have my utilities wrapped into here, and I don't want it to look like I'm just doing all this consumer spending. So I put my utilities that my roommates pay me as income. So let's say that's $150. So my job, I get paid on the 1st and the 15th. That's why I pay off my credit cards on the 1st and 15th. So on the 1st, I'll go and I'll put in that paycheck. Let's say that was $1. And then on the 15th, I get paid. Let's say that one was $2. I got a raise. And then I put in my income that I have from YouTube. Let's say that was $3. And then income from just other little side hustles that I do. Let's say that was $10. So this shows me my total income here was $2,166. That's adding all of this up. And then all my expenses are right here. But that's not updated yet. So then on the 15th, when I go off and pay my credit card for the second time, let's say that was $700 and $67. Utilities that I didn't pay on my card. So this is stuff that like I Venmo'd my roommates. Let's say I Venmo'd them 80. For internet, let's say 70. And for utilities not on card, TV, let's say I Venmo'd 50. And then other Venmo, this is just random Venmo when I'm like out with friends where I'm spending money. I like to keep track of all of it. So say I Venmo someone $10 for some food, I put that in there. And then debit, I have this here because usually all my expenses come from my credit card, but for my phone, that's debit. So let's say that is $70. And then debit, this is just other stuff that I put on my debit card. I really never put anything on there, so this is usually $0. And then debit for my mortgage. Okay, so that is basically how it would look. Super easy, super simple. And this month I had a surplus of negative $60,000, so that would not be a surplus. But that's basically how it looks. That's an example of how I track my spending, and I find it super effective in helping me stay on track. So I can look back and say, woo, a surplus, or ooh, spent too much. Between that and Mint, it's super easy to stay on track, and something I definitely recommend. And then another thing that I do that I recommend is tracking your net worth. It's a great way to stay on track and see if you're getting towards your goals and you're getting there on the pace that you'd like to get there. So that's what I do. Maybe one day if you guys want, I'll go more in depth on how I track my net worth and go in more depth on this spreadsheet. But that's it for this video. Those are some tips and tricks, and that's how I save 50% of my income and how you can as well. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Madanda.